Well, welcome back to Instant Experts. Boil over this weekend. This is Henry Lee. Honk and I were at our weekender at Trump Gaza when we were recalled.
Couldn't believe it.
Owing to incidents overnight. Honk, there we were sipping on a Netanyahu Curacao and Trumpy's favourite drink, a brown lagoon.
Yep. It's a beautiful drink. Do you know the story behind it?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so Sinatra always had like a special whiskey they'd make for him. Like,
yeah.
So I think, the story goes this was made for him specially by the bar.
It's usually like, from the Ritz in New York or the Plaza, I should say.
I think it was Trump's hotel in Trump Atlantic City, I think, made him the Brown Lagoon.
Yeah, why?
I assume to celebrate his digestive issues, I assume.
Yes, with them. This is a president who wears an adult diaper, but...
Yeah, allegedly.
Anyway, So there we were relaxing on our weekend, and then that meeting between President Zelensky of Ukraine, widely regarded by normal, sensible people as a hero, President Trump and his little offsider BJ Vance,
yes.
At which Trump and Vance just badgered Zelensky for no reason. I mean, Honky, you saw the footage.
It's pretty extraordinary. I mean, as you said to me before we started recording, I mean, we make jokes about when we call Trump Krasnov. For years there's been this story that, in fact, he's an out-and-out Russian asset with the code name Krasnov. And, I mean, you've got to say...
He's established it beyond reasonable doubt.
No doubt about it.
I mean, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's must-watch TV. Probably most of you have. They just set upon Zelensky, attack him for being in the way when Russia decided to try and take over the country.
Yeah, for the audacity of being president when some guys rolled into the territory,
and then failing to say thank you. And Vance even went to so far as to say Zelensky was being disrespectful in front of the entire American media, which, by the way, Vance and Trump had arranged so they could be on television badgering Zelensky on American media.
And there's no doubt, look, all jokes aside, there's no doubt what's going on, right? I mean, let's just start, the fix has been in for a while. Not only is he probably Krasnov, Trump, but he's let's not forget, he started the peace talks between two disputing sides by having a private meeting with only one of those sides, which was Russia, right?
Didn't bring the American media to that one, I don't think.
No, interesting, fascinating, how amazing.
Yeah, what would they have seen?
You don't want to know. There are
Did it involve knee pads?
I would think so, yes. And we know what the purpose of this is. The purpose of this was to go through this meeting in the White House overnight was to go through the motions of being seen to have met the guy from Ukraine, hopefully trying to paint him into a corner where he looked like in some way could be painted in some ways other than furiously grateful, so they could then do what they were planning to do all along, which is to back Russia, which, as we'll talk about, is a catastrophic miscalculation on every possible level, right?
Yes. So where did Zelensky go wrong in the meeting, in your view, tactically?
Well, the criticism is that unlike Macron or Starmer, he didn't bow appropriately, didn't offer Trump the BJ that he was expecting. But but
in fairness, how's Zelensky supposed to give Trump a BJ live on TV when JD is down there?
Well, JD's already
doing the work for him.
What's he meant to do?
I mean, he's already starting to be known as BJ Vance by the inner circle.
Yeah,
because that's his main job.
BJ Vance internally, and and we don't mean internally at the White House. We just mean BJ Vance internally. But I mean, I don't know what's he meant to do. I mean, BJ's down there already doing the work. What's he meant to do? Reach in the diaper, work the balls. By the way, please God, let him find the balls, not anything else.
I don't think Trump's diaper's been changed since at least Wednesday.
Yeah, you've had that slip to you as a special instant expert.
Well, I have. Yes. I have sources close to the White House that may or may not be called Melania, and she did it once many years ago.
Reached in the nappy.
Yeah, she did, and she's been on an antibiotic drip for years, which is why she's
never seen.
So rarely seen in public.
She's at the hospital. What's the special naval hospital?
Golden Staff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the meeting was extraordinary, and Vance just got on the attack again, saying Zelensky was an ingrate, basically, for not saying thank you on television.
Is this Christmas morning in hell, or is this the White House? What the hell is it?
Extraordinary. This is the same Vance who,
yes,
a couple of years ago was on national television saying he was, quote unquote, a never Trump.
Yeah.
A never Trump. And he's gone from being a never Trump to...
He's gone from being an NP to being the VP.
Correct. And which tells you a lot about his principles and tells you he'll do anything for power.
It's pretty disgraceful. And by the way, VP, when he was offered VP, he assumed to be vice president. But in fact, the P's got something to do with the prostate, I suspect.
Yeah, imagine what he had to do to get the job, my God.
The dirty Sanchez of it all.
Now, the other highlight was a journalist, one of Trump's hand-picked press pool, who
we'll talk about that in. We do talk about that in our most recent episode.
I think he was
5.
in fact the guy from Hustler Black Label.
He's very talented.
Some guy called Brian, which is not a very Hustler Black Label kind of name.
Is he the ex-Fox guy? Is he Fox?
Is he ex-Fox? Okay, I don't know.
He's now Hustler Black Label edition.
Yeah, and his other claim to fame is he's shagging Marjorie Taylor Greene,
the horror,
the airhead, gun-loving Republican congresswoman.
Yeah, lucky him.
Yeah, it'd be like dating a lemon. But anyway, he asked why Zelensky didn't wear a suit, and
what does he not know the? Why doesn't he wear it? Just explain us why he doesn't wear it.
Zelensky routinely appears in military outfits, either dark camo green or army green or black, because he's the commander in chief of a military that's been at war for 3 years.
Yes,
and he's on record many times as saying he will only put a suit on and change his gear once the war is over.
And this genius didn't know this when he asked the question?
No, either didn't know or didn't care. It was incredibly disrespectful and assumed that Zelensky should be wearing a suit to suck up to Trump, as if Trump, when he goes to suck up to his mates in the Middle East, puts on robes and the headdress.
Yeah, well, they're quite see-through. You'd see the diaper, wouldn't you? Especially if your mail is right that it's been since Wednesday, you'd see more than just the diaper, right?
That's true. So the meeting was a disaster. America disgraced itself. I mean, the right-thinking people all over the world, including probably even a majority of America now, is disgusted by what's going on.
Pretty extraordinary.
Is the land of Ronald Reagan and Top Gun and Rambo.
Yeah.
Now openly siding with Putin and Russia against free countries is extraordinary. And Trump is such a thin-skinned egomaniac that when Zelensky didn't do the deal, he ended the meeting, and Zelensky had to leave the White House.
That's right. He literally had to leave. And in fact, the story is that Zelensky tried to get it back on track. Trump had a tant he wouldn't talk to. Trump did no speakies. That well-known presidential routine of no speakers, and he had to leave.
Right, and did he have some sort of motorcade or escorted exit, or did
he ordered an Uber?
Had to dial an Uber.
But that's a weird story in itself, because he ordered an Uber, and it looked like it was, it looked like it was a Camry was coming from a guy called Andy. It looked nice.
They're always Camrys, aren't they?
Yeah, when it turned up, it was like some Russian.
It was a Lada driven by a guy called Petrov.
Petrov, yeah. Yeah, but he was very. The story we got the mail that he was very solicitous. Petrov. He offered.
What did he? When he get the mints in the car?
He offered him. Normally if you're lucky you get a bottle of water. He offered him a delicious, beautiful arsenic tea and a breath mint
made of polonium.
Yeah. But what a strategic genius Trump is. I mean, what's he done? What's the outcome of what's all this mean? He's unified all of Europe against Russia.
Yes.
In favour of Ukraine.
And the US. To the extent there's a distinction anymore.
Yeah. The US will never come in on the ground to defend Russia. I mean, that would be suicide.
Yes.
You were telling me...
the US defence companies, their share prices have tanked, and the European defence companies have gone up by between 15 and 50% overnight because the US companies are never going to sell another bullet to anybody in Europe. They're all going to buy internally.
And if it does come to a situation in which there's an escalation of on-the-ground conflict between Ukraine and Russia, in which Europe, which it will, including now the UK, another great irony, which of course is that, as I recall, that Trump was delighted that the UK went for Brexit and left Europe. This has every chance of reuniting the UK with Europe. By the
yes.
way. Another great.
Well, that would be a twist if they came back in, wouldn't it?
But for the meantime, no question, UK will side with Europe if there's a land war, escalated land war in the Ukraine. and Russia will get its ass handed to it.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that Russia's actually got a lot of people, but it's not a very economically strong country. It's got a GDP that's slightly less than Italy,
Right.
and a population that's about half that of Europe, living in two cities, basically, Moscow and St. Petersburg. Europe's got the same population as the US, and a combined GDP approximately the same as the US.
So
they're up against a country that's been fighting for 3 years.
So Russia's got a worse GDP than Italy.
Yeah, they can't even afford to ring up Italy and order a pizza.
What do they? If they do? Do they get it? How do you get it delivered?
Well, they tried it once. Yeah.
What happened?
It was delivered from Pizza Hut, Kiev.
Oh, right. They've subcontracted.
It was one of those, instead of the car arriving, it came by drone.
Oh, I see. Right, the drone. Right.
And the pepperoni was a little bit spicy.
And then it is it one of those?
Might have exploded a few times. But anyway, the point is Russia's broke off their ass.
Yeah.
They're losing the war in Ukraine. And
Pack of unmotivated conscripted troops. And if they're not conscripted, they've decided to join up to fight in Ukraine
because dying is better than living in Russia.
Dying now is 10 times better than living in Russia. Genius, if anything, you got to congratulate President Trump / Krasnov. I mean,
for pulling the whole continent together, and Vance, by the way, was very critical of Europe for not having a proper military and not investing in its military capabilities.
He was particularly critical of which country?
Of Germany.
And he
said, "You're a big country. Why don't you have an army?"
Is this guy? I'm not going to use the word. Is this guy fucking word beginning with R and the rest of the word is ERTADED?
He genuinely was surprised that Germany didn't have an army and didn't know why.
Didn't understand why.
He might be surprised to find Japan doesn't have much of an army either.
Not since I saw an influencer walking through Germany from America saying that Germany is a wonderful country, but the only thing which is a bummer is you can get every kind of delicious bread except a good bagel. Now, why is that? Cluelessly asking that question. Not since now.
So anyway, they've united Europe. Hopefully Europe will stand strong. Russia will get knocked over in the war, pushed out of Ukraine. Germany will rearm. Good news for all of us.
Wonderful.
And at least Trump will get something out of it.
Yeah. Well, there is this talk. You told me this wonderful news that they're exploring. Aren't they exploring a second mountain in South Dakota?
Yes, second mountain in South Dakota to commemorate America's worst and most traitorous presidents.
So the story is his face is going up first, right?
His face is going up
and
first.
What are they going to call it?
And the working title is Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, beautiful.
So start chiseling, JD.
Yes, indeed.
All right, everybody.
Us.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Bye.